All right.
So, it's very interesting, Yo-Yo, because we had that conversation yesterday about the First Amendment and whether or not, because you said you were at that party over the weekend, and some of your friends, they were complaining and saying, maybe Trump should not have been banned. That's freedom of speech. And I had suggested yesterday that, not suggested, I know the law. I didn't even suggest. I said what the law was, which is it's a private company. They can do whatever they want. And interestingly, later that evening, the New York Times published an article by Michelle Golberg, who's one of the New York Times' power writers. She's always writing there in the New York Times, very well known, well written. And she was, I don't know if she was watching Bradshaw Live or not, but this came up later in the evening. She wrote about Trump getting off of Twitter. She wrote, Trump deserved to be deplatformed, but it's dangerous to have a handful of callow young tech titans in charge of who has a megaphone and who doesn't. And what she said, which is true, that although you have a right to free speech also gives people and companies the right not to associate with somebody. So you have the right to associate or the right to not associate. So, for example, you have a situation where Donald Trump was very, very happy when, remember that bakery? I don't remember where it was, in Wisconsin or something. There was a bakery who refused to make a cake for a gay couple. So they had a right as a private business whether to make that cake or not. And just like, Facebook and YouTube has a right whether they want to have Donald Trump on their platform or not. It's a business decision. That bakery doesn't get same-sex marriages anymore. They lost that business. But that was their decision to do.
Yeah.
Now Trump supporters like Alex Jones, Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, they have also all been ousted from Facebook and Twitter. And she still writes, though, that the ability of tech companies to mostly shut up the world's loudest men is astonishing and shows the limits of analogies to traditional publishers. I personally think this, I think Trump should be off. But what it also goes to show you is one of the most powerful people, or the group of very powerful people, were able to shut the president of the United States up, the most powerful leader. Who was able? Mark Zuckerberg, people at Twitter. I think, personally, I agree that Trump should be off. I also think these companies have way too much power. And here we are on one of those companies' platforms. So I hope they don't shut me off because I'm saying that.
Wow.
But I believe that these companies have way too much power. They're most likely a monopoly. And we remember that board game Monopoly. And I personally think, just like AT&T, just like the oil companies from the Rockefeller days, these companies need to be broken up. I think we have too much power in very few people in America. I think it needs to be broken up a little bit, but I agree that Donald J. Trump should not be on any of these platforms. What do you think?
How could it even be broken up, though? Because this is their own company that they created from scratch.
Yeah, but if you're a monopoly and you can't, and there is no competition, what's the competition for Amazon? Where do you go to buy your, water? You want to have water shipped to your apartment, short of going to the local grocery store. What platform are you going for water? Facebook has Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. What is the alternative to Twitter? Trump, we haven't heard from him.
You guys think that Twitter actually banned Trump from Twitter toward the end of his presidency? Like, that was their plan the whole time?
I believe that 100%. Remember, before they got banned, remember on the show I said, watch Trump get banned within 2 weeks of not being president. Did I know that there was going to be an assault on the Capitol? It happened 2 weeks.
Right.
2 weeks. It happened 4 weeks earlier than I predicted.
Right.
That's how bad Trump is. All right?
Yeah.
It happened so it was obvious that Twitter was going to throw him off. They kept saying that his tweets, they kept saying that his tweets were not accurate, and they were putting notices on his tweets, but since he was the president, they weren't kicking him off so fast.
Right.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that the Twitter ban creates a dangerous precedent? Do you think that deplatforming extremists is more important to protect our democracy? I'll tell you what a couple of other people think. Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany and the Russian dissident Alexei Navalny find that the Trump ban is very disturbing. Navalny wrote, "This precedent will be exploited by the enemies of freedom of speech around the world, in Russia as well. Every time when they need to silence someone, they will say, this is common practice. Even Trump got blocked on Twitter." What do you think?
I mean, like I said, taking away Trump, I do have a problem with them taking somebody's freedom of speech, regardless if it's on a private company or whatnot, because that is what this company was made. It was made to talk, to express your feelings, to say what you want. So, like I said, taking away Trump and what he has caused, I do think it's scary that these companies have so much power. The power to take away the voice of the most powerful man in the world.
Now, Willie L. Williams, he disagrees with me. Mm-hmm. Willie L. Williams on Facebook says that is not true what I am saying. Walmart delivers water. Yes, but Amazon... Right. True, yeah, Walmart delivers water. You could probably go on multiple sites and find companies that deliver water. But I don't know the statistic. I don't know the statistic. I would be really shocked to know that if Amazon doesn't control 95 to 97% of the online commerce in the United States of America. Probably way up there. And that to me is a monopoly, Willie L. Williams.
Yeah.
What do you think, Vanessa? I mean, yeah, you can go to Walmart. You can probably Google, ship me Poland Spring, and there'll probably be some small, mom and pop store that'll ship it to you. But everyone goes to Amazon. They control the whole market.
Right.
So that was just one example. Maybe water wasn't like the best example, but where are you getting a bunch of other random things the next day on Prime? But more so on that was a very interesting comment that you read about people saying how these platforms would be able to pretty much mute anyone that they wanted. But I also feel like in terms of it being with Trump, it was like consistently agitating different communities. Like he's kind of like a bully on Twitter and starting a bunch of different, like even if it was freedom of speech, it's affecting a lot of communities in not the best ways.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I agree with you, Vanessa. Meanwhile, the other big news in Washington right now is the impeachment train has left the station. The Democrats have given Mike Pence to the end of the day to invoke the Article 4 of Amendment 25 to write a letter with a majority of the cabinet ministers that are still at the White House to remove President Trump from power because of his incapacity, which is his mental delusions. Pence has said he won't do it. There will be an impeachment tomorrow. Now, this will be the first time in the history of the United States that one president gets impeached twice, ever. Nobody has ever been impeached twice, except this pumpkin guy. And that's going to happen tomorrow or Thursday, depending on when the vote is. Now, the difference between last time and this time is last time it was completely partisan. It was all Democrats versus all Republicans. This time it's a little different. Last time the Republicans were strong-arming every member, Republican leadership was strong-arming every member of the Republican caucus, which means every congressman, every senator, to vote against impeachment, to vote against in the trial in the Senate. This time, that's not happening. This time, the Republican leadership is telling Republicans to vote their conscience. They are not strong-arming anybody to vote for or against Donald Trump. Why? Because I think many people want Trump out, even Republicans. 2 Republicans have come out in the last 30 minutes right before we came on air, a Republican congressman from New York and Liz Cheney, who is Vice President Cheney's daughter, who is a congressman from Wyoming, both Republicans, and they say they are going to vote for impeachment. Mitch McConnell, the head majority leader of the Senate, Republican, presumably the second or third most powerful Republican in the United States of America. It is being reported that he believes that Trump should be impeached as well. Why? Because he wants Trump out of the Republican Party. So this is a good opportunity for Republicans who are tired of Donald Trump to get him out, to discredit him just as he should be. Sadly, as Jill said, they're eating their own. Sadly, it should have been done years ago. It should have been,
right.
We should never have reached this point.
Right.
Where was Mitch McConnell 2 years ago saying this?
Right.
Okay, where was Mitch McConnell saying, you know what, we should impeach him after Charlottesville when there's good people on both sides?
That part.
Right? Where was Mitch McConnell saying we should impeach him when Donald Trump is selling the presidency and basically selling the presidency? Also telling the Ukrainian president that if you don't do certain things, you are not going to get money from the United States that's already been authorized. I'm going to just not give it to you. We're going to let the Russians overrun your country. Okay? And by the way, I was just thinking about this the other day. If you remember during the Biden-Trump debates, when Biden pointed out that Trump supports the Proud Boys, which is basically, the newest version of the Nazis here in the United States of America. There's really not much difference between Proud Boys and extremist Nazis or any extremist group. And Donald Trump says, I don't even know who they are. I never heard their names before. And I remember that? We had that discussion. We're like, what kind of BS is that? He doesn't know who they are. But meanwhile, he was able to get them all to come and try to overturn a fair election. So, what BS was that, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the FBI warns that armed protests are being planned in all 50 state capitals. The National Guard plans to have up to 15,000 of its personnel ready for the inauguration. We remember when it used to be like an 8th grade trip to go to Washington, D.C. It was like this nice, safe trip to go to Washington. 8th grade, we got on the bus, we went to Washington, we saw all the monuments. It was a nice, safe trip for 8th graders. You can't go to Washington, D.C. now.
Right.
You couldn't go to Washington. I would have sent my kid to Washington, D.C. if they gave me $10 million.
Yeah. It's a battlefield.
It's a battlefield. Exactly. Over the weekend, D.C.'s Mayor Bowser asked Trump to declare an emergency in the district, and yesterday he did it. He also ordered federal assistance to help reinforce the district's response efforts ahead of the inauguration. Chad Wolf, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, he's resigned because every one of his rulings that he has made, every new regulation that he has made has been found illegal because he was never voted on by the U.S. Senate to be the head of the Department of Homeland Security. So all of his rules, including the DACA, which is why DACA recipients can now apply, or you can apply newly to DACA, all because this guy was never voted on by the Senate. He finally resigned. But he resigned 8 days before the inauguration. We have nobody in charge at the Department of Homeland Security right now.
Oh, God.
What does the Department of Homeland Security do? Homeland Security.
Secure
us, Homeland. Secure the Homeland. Nobody's in charge. Nobody.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Scary.
That's scary.
Nobody's in charge.
Yeah, that's scary.
Meanwhile, after the head of the Department of Homeland Security has resigned 8 days before an inauguration where the FBI is saying that we are going to get extremist groups who are going to come try to disrupt it, perhaps plant bombs, shoot people, who knows what's going to happen. And we have nobody in charge at the Department of Homeland Security. We have a president of the United States who is inflaming all of this.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, he wanted to go to Europe to get the hell out of here because he doesn't want to be associated with any of this. So he had a trip he made planned to Europe, except the problem is he had to cancel it. You want to know why?
Why?
Because nobody would meet with the guy. The Foreign Minister of Luxembourg and all the other top European officials declined to meet with him. So he was going on a trip to Europe to basically eat, I guess, I don't know, krupkins, cake, whatever they eat in Europe, by himself at a cafe.
By himself
at a cafe because nobody was going to meet with him. Here we go. I have today herbal peppermint tea, guys. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, she has landed on the cover of the February issue of Vogue magazine. Did you see this? But her team says there's a problem. I saw the pictures, but I didn't know there was a problem until just now.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, instead of the powder blue power suit that Harris wore for the cover. This is what she wore originally for the cover. The first Jamaican-Indian American woman elected vice president is instead seen in a more casual attire, wearing Converse Chuck Taylor sneakers.
Yeah. Trifling,
right? Why would they make the first woman? Why would, to me, when you wear a suit, you're showing power. Right? When you wear a suit, you show power. Okay, right now I'm casual, but if I want to show power to somebody, I'm never going to go to court in a sweater, right? I would always wear my jacket and tie, and I would wear, that's why they call it the power suit. And you go to court, and that shows to everybody you're a powerful person. You come in your pajamas, you're not a very powerful person. You come in a sweater, you're not a very powerful person. Why would they show an image of the first woman, black woman, Jamaican woman, Indian woman, vice president of the United States of America, and show her in something other than the most powerful clothes that she can show, to show her image as a powerful woman? Why would they make her casual?
Yeah.
Why does she have to look? Why does she look like she's Jessica Alba trying to promote her next cookbook? Does Jessica Alba have a cookbook? I don't even know. But you know what I'm saying? Or Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Or Gwyneth Paltrow selling her candle. Why don't we show her? Why don't we show her as the powerful woman she is? The second most powerful person in the United States of America, starting in 10 days from now.
It's a mess.
They did multiple looks. I mean, I didn't love the sneaker thing, but when I saw it, I'm like, okay, maybe they're trying to have her come, just grounded and like your go-to, like, hey, your vice president-elect is here to serve, and like your go-to girl. But then, I mean, now having this conversation, I'm like, But then there was the blue suit. I think that shoot was great.
Now,
blue suit.
I didn't even see the powder blue one. Like, that would have been a great cover. When I first saw the cover come out, one I was, a little tipsy because it came out at night. I saw it and I was pissed. I was like, why would they do this? But the Vogue has a history of not really giving flattering pictures and covers for black women. So I don't know if it's because of that.
Do you think it was a black woman thing? What else? I don't know this. I mean, I'm not an expert on Vogue, so I'm gonna leave it. You educate me, because I know nothing about this. I'm telling you the truth.
Right.
I'm not saying you're right, or I have no idea. This is the first time I've ever heard anybody ever say to me, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just have no idea. Vogue has always done this to black women. I didn't know this.
When it comes to black and Latino women, it's never really that flattering. Like, there's always a better picture. So from what I even heard, Kamala's team didn't even know that they were going to use the one.
They didn't know that. It was switched on Kamala.
How do you not know that? You're going to be the cover of Vogue. Their team should have had the say so, and I guarantee you, their team would not have picked this picture. I'm telling you.
Who else?
Cardi B, her baby.
What'd they do? What'd they do with Cardi B?
It's just unflattering pictures.
Really?
They have a whole photo. That's why I say it's black, Latina. It's
why would they
women
do that?
color.
But why would they do that? It makes no sense.
They say stuff about Anna Wintour. I don't want to say it because I don't know for sure, but these have been rumors in the fashion industry, and that's always been the talk. So when they come and show Kamala in some dirty Chucks, that's horrible.
But why would Kamala even pose in those clothes? I mean, can you blame? I'm just thinking. Would you blame Kamala because she's like, why would you even bring Chuck Taylors with her?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
When you do a photo shoot for a magazine, I have 2 magazine covers. Right. All right.
Oh, excuse me. You're ahead of me. 2-0, yo.
I'm just saying. So I'm actually trying to answer your question. Right. When you do a magazine cover, especially, you have a whole spread inside. So you're gonna do different looks. Your stylist is throwing out different looks. That sneaker one was probably like a cute casual, shot that you're going to do, because it has the pink and green. So that's showing her sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, which was founded in 1908. So that was, like a homage, paying homage to her sorority. They did not, I guarantee you, they did not think that they were going to pick that for the cover. They probably thought that they were going to pick this one, which makes more sense.
Well, let me tell you what.
She probably had about 6 or 7 different looks.
Let me tell you what they said in a statement. Vogue said it went with the more informal image of Harris for the cover because the photo captured her authentic, approachable nature, which we feel is one of the hallmarks of the Biden-Harris administration. But the magazine said it released both images as digital magazine covers to respond to the seriousness of this moment in history and the role she has to play leading our country forward. It should have only been that one. Meanwhile, I want you to know something. Jilly sent me a video, and then some of the squad also sent me the video of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I sent it to you guys. Did you see it? Did you see that Arnold Schwarzenegger video?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
You a bunch, yep.
I'm going to tell you something. He's come a long way as an actor, this Schwarzenegger, from I'll Be Back. Because I want you to know something. This guy had me in tears after 7 minutes. I said, when did you ever think that Arnold Schwarzenegger, after a 7-minute speech, would put you in tears? I am not kidding. I don't want to say I was in tears, but I'm like, wow, I got a bit emotional watching this video. I'm like, Arnold, that was fantastic. It was probably one of his best scenes ever. Former
He's grown as an actor.
If people didn't see it, go see it. Former California governor, film and TV star, the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He spoke Sunday, posting a video decrying the Capitol building takeover, also decrying Donald Trump. The video reached back to provide a history lesson about the 1938 Kristallnacht attacks in Austria. That was the beginning of the Nazi regime. That was the beginning of the Holocaust. That was the beginning of the anti-Semitism during World War II. It was that night. And it ended with Schwarzenegger holding the Conan the Barbarian sword. I just got to watch a minute or two of it. It was really great. Let's watch.
As an immigrant to this country, I would like to say a few words to my fellow Americans. Now, I grew up in the ruins of a country that suffered the loss of its democracy. I heard it with my own ears and saw it with my own eyes. They were in physical pain from the shrapnel in their bodies and in emotional pain from what they saw or did. President Trump sought to overturn the results of an election, and of a fair election. He sought a coup by misleading people with lies. My father and our neighbors were misled also with lies, and I know where such lies lead. President Trump is a failed leader. He will go down in history as the worst president ever. I believe, as shaken as we are by the events of recent days, we will come out stronger because we now understand what can be lost. Now you see this sword? This is the Conan sword. Our democracy is like the steel of this sword. President-elect Biden, we wish you great success as our president. If you succeed, our nation succeeds. We support you with all our hearts as you seek to bring us together.
And by the way, Schwarzenegger is a Republican, and he's telling Biden, a Democrat, we want you to succeed. Yeah, I loved it. Everyone should go watch it. It was like 7 minutes. It was great. It was very emotional at the end. You don't get it because we cut it up a little bit, but you don't get it. Exactly. But I'm telling you, it was very, very emotional. Meanwhile, Hollywood.
I always say that. Like that's the only positive we could say about Trump is it brought us all closer, and we understand what we had before. So.
Do you know? All he had to do was shut up during the election, and just do a little bit to help people with COVID. Just do a little bit. Show a little empathy. Didn't have to do anything. Just really, all he had to do was shut up about Proud Boys, about immigrants.
Right.
And all he had to do was show a little empathy. He would have got the suburban vote. I'm very empathetic to everybody with COVID. We're doing everything we can. Every life is important to us. We will strive to make sure every life that is lost is a life that we can never, you can do all that empathy crap, which he doesn't believe.
Right.
But he could have just played the role. He could have played that role. And you want to know what? we would have had 4 more years of Trump. We would have had a Republican Senate and a much closer Republican-Democrat split in the House. It would have been, had he just showed he didn't have to do anything. Just shut up about Proud Boys, shut up about immigrants for 2 months, and give a little empathy to people who are sick with COVID. That's all he had to do.
It was the Trump show for 4 years, Brad.
Yeah.
We were unfortunately tuned in.
So, you know, so all I can say is, you say he's a smart guy. Maybe he's not so smart. I don't know. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Because he could have been president for 4 more years. Could have been. People in Hollywood, they have gone to Twitter. Chrissy Teigen just writes, ha 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 ha. Real Housewives, Bethany Frankel. She's on Twitter. Who knew? Getting kicked off Twitter is about as hard to do as getting booted from the Housewives. It's literally designed for provocative social interaction. She's right. She's right.
Yeah.
Right. Comedian Chelsea Handler wrote, congrats to Twitter for giving Donald Trump the harshest punishment he's ever received. Republican Megyn Kelly wrote, if you're on the right or not woke or want to raise cues about the integrity of our electoral system, you're next. And finally, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Elaine from Seinfeld, she wrote at CEO Jack Dorsey, what the F took you so long, Jack?
For real.
Right. What the F took you so long? Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.